Hello, everyone. Um, it's been a while since I've gone live, on LinkedIn and YouTube. And considering it's the time of the year where hopefully a lot of you are, getting your dream admits and, all set to, take off to the US, or maybe some of you are starting to take the GRE, planning to apply next year. I thought it would be a great time to perhaps have an interactive session with you guys so that I can ask all your questions. I can answer all your questions rather. So I'd be happy to do that. You can use the comments on LinkedIn or Gradwine's YouTube channel so that my colleague Nilesh can collate them and I can go ahead and answer them. I'll try my best to answer all of your questions today, and let's hope that goes well. Of course, if I am not able to answer one of your questions in the midst of the session, you can always schedule a free consultation using the link that's scrolling on this video, or call the number that is showing up as well. But hopefully that shouldn't be the case. I think I should be able to answer a lot of your questions, so you can keep them coming in. All right, I already see questions streaming in. That's always good news. Again, thank you so much for logging in. Thank you so much for trusting us and Gradwine to answer your queries. Of course, a lot of our students have done fantastically well this year, and we are so happy and proud of them. In fact, we have over 35 admits to Duke. Dartmouth's an all-time high. We are at 9 admits. With a lot of people on the waitlist, we're hoping we'll touch double digits. And for the Dartmouth MEM, that's a class of 50. So there might be 9 or 10 Gradwine students, which is a fantastic achievement that we are proud of, and we're proud of our students as well. We have over 25 admits to Carnegie Mellon, to over 30 odd to the University of Washington. We have a huge chunk of admits to Cornell as well, upwards of 20 for a variety of programs. So we are very happy, and thanks for all your support for all these years. Without your support, we wouldn't have been able to deliver these results. So, all right, before you guys get restless with your questions, I'm going to start jumping in and answering a few of them. All right, first question coming in: Indiana versus George Washington. I have to know what program it's for, my friend, before I answer that. But if it's Indiana and George Washington, I'm assuming that it is for the MIS program. Or all right, you're saying data science, Indiana versus Georgia Washington. Tough pick. I'd pick Indiana Kelly. It is a better school of engineering. It is a better school of management as well. And location is not the best, but overall in terms of reputation, it's a great school. I'd go for Indiana Bloomington, if that's the one you're referring to. All right. The next question is NYU Management of Technology versus Northeastern MIS versus USC MS in Analytics. That's a wide variety right there. So I think you've applied for a diverse set of programs, but all fantastic admits. First of all, my congratulations to you. Job well done. My pick would be the USC MS in Analytics. Now, I understand that USC can tend to be very expensive. But to be very honest, USC as a university is definitely a level above NYU's, Tandon School of Engineering, and Northeastern University. Even though the NEU MIS program is also great for return on investment. If you're okay with the cost, I would recommend USC's MS in Analytics. It's a great brand to have on your resume in the long term as well. PhD in Management Studies in the USA. Any suggestions? I don't. I mean, you could do it, but I don't understand why one would do a PhD in management studies, especially abroad, unless there's a deep interest and passion. If you want to get into research, then maybe it makes sense. And those admits are slightly easier to crack than typical technical PhDs. But if you want to get into corporate, just do a general management degree, which is an MBA, or a specialized management degree like an engineering management. A PhD, unless you're deeply committed to maybe dedicating 6-7 years of your career to research in the future, and you have a deep level of interest in a particular area, I wouldn't recommend it as much, if I have to be perfectly honest. All right. For MS and CS, which university is better, ASU, UMass Amherst, or NCSU Raleigh Durham? All right. Good question. Very, very tough choice, if I have to be perfectly honest. I think the debate is going to be between UMass Amherst and NCSU. ASU is a good school, but not at the level of a UMass Amherst or an NCSU, which are very, very good programs. I'd say a top 30 CS program at the very least. Some would argue that they're close to the top 20 as well, give or take a few here and there. Among the two, if I have to look at this year, maybe I would marginally recommend UMass Amherst over NCSU, because NCSU has been slightly more generous with the admits this year. I think from Gradwine also there are close to 25 students in that CS class. It's a fantastic university, great location. You can't go wrong between UMass Amherst and NCSU. You'll have a great career ahead irrespective. But because of the slightly smaller class, I would give UMass Amherst the edge, because then there'll be more opportunities waiting for you because of lower competition amongst your own peers. Waitlisted by UMCP MIS, should I be hopeful? I would be hopeful, because I know at least 7-8 of our own candidates who have UMCP admits who are not going to take it up because they got into other places. So once the people who accept say no, that's when the waitlist gets pushed up. I would still be hopeful of a UMCP MIS, and that is a fantastic program in its own right. But I would also, because March is okay, April is okay, if it's going closer to May, I'd be a little concerned. So maybe in 10-15 days I would write an email to check your waitlist status and show your increasing interest in the program. Hopefully maybe that will play a slight role in bumping you up on the waitlist. But overall, I think there is a chance for the UMCP MIs, because I know a lot of candidates who might reject the offer because they've gotten into maybe places like a Carnegie Mellon or a UWash or a Cornell, which are better for the MIS and the MEM programs. Northwestern versus Cornell MEM for 5 years working professional. This is a tough choice again. Northwestern maybe 3 or 4 years ago wasn't the best MEM program. Was rather here and there in terms of the career services, in terms of job opportunities and a variety of other factors. But they've done a much better job over the last couple of years, from what I understand, in terms of feedback from students. It is a slightly longer program as well, which gives you more for the job search. But the Cornell MEM is a brand that you cannot ignore. I think the Cornell tag is something that will help you out 7, 8, 9 years down the line, and that's something you cannot measure. Overall, in terms of program to program, pound for pound comparison, I think Cornell is more of an elite program and sits firmly in the top 5 MEM programs, according to me, whereas Northwestern may not necessarily be there. Even though the program is a little shorter, I think with 5 years of work experience, you should not have a problem with the job search. So between the two, I would pick the Cornell MEM. I've not had anyone who's gone there and struggled, or rather not found a job. The job search is a struggle in the US irrespective. But I think Cornell MEM is a brand and a tag in your resume you cannot ignore. It's a great school and a program. That would be my recommendation. All right, a UMCP SCM, I'm assuming that is the supply chain management, or NCSU MEM. Look, I don't recommend pure supply chain programs unless you have significant experience in operations and supply chain prior. Because once you do an SCM program, you're restricting yourself to SCM roles. And if there is, hiring freeze for those roles, in particular, companies that hire heavily, then you're stuck because the program is so specialized that you cannot navigate. The NCSU MEM, on the other hand, is more, tailored towards operations. So you should have enough supply chain related directives, and say the supply chain hiring is not happening as you please, because the flexibility of the MEM on offer, you'll be able to navigate and get a better job. The other thing is, I'd say the NCSU location is better than Maryland. So I would pick the NCSU MEM. It's a safer bet, even though the UMCP SCM is a great program. Once again, congratulations to you. That's fantastic admits to have in hand. So you should be very happy. Can't go wrong with either, but I'd pick the NCSU MEM. All right, UIUC MSIM versus UMCP MSIS. I think this is an easier choice, far more straightforward answer. I would pick the UMCP MSIS. Far older program, far more reputed. It is Maryland College Park's, one of their flagship programs, and a top 5 or top 7 at the very worst, MIS program out there. So I would pick that over the UIUC MSIM. Again, nothing wrong with UIUC MSIM, but it is competing with one of the best and oldest programs there is. So I would pick UMCP MSIS overall. Even if you're looking at a slightly more technical curriculum, the MSIS at UMCP will give you that. All right, the next question is UMass or NEU or UCSD for BA. Thank you again for a very easy question there. I think by far, without a doubt, no comparison, would be UCSD for BA. And I'm assuming it's UMass Amherst, because if it's UMass Boston, then it's definitely not even in the conversation. But even UMass Amherst is not even close to UCSD for BA. It is one of the finest BA programs in a fantastic location. I would go for UCSD for the business analytics any day. Congratulations again. Brilliant job with that. It's a great admit to have. UTD Management Science versus NCSU MEM. Thank you for that question again. By far and away, NCSU MEM. Newer program, but again, far more proven in the last couple of years in terms of the job search as well. Again, NCSU as a university is a level above UT Dallas. So I think it would be a no-brainer to pick North Carolina State University's MEM program over UTD's management science program as well. So I hope that is clear for you. All right. Syracuse, Arizona State, or the University of Buffalo for MIS? Tough choice. Again, I think the debate should be between Arizona State and the University of Buffalo. The best program, hands down, with all other factors out of the window, is Arizona State. I think it's a better program, slightly higher level than both Syracuse and the University of Buffalo. But the next thing is the University of Buffalo is very cheap comparatively. Again, relatively cheaper. So, and everybody goes to Buffalo also gets a great job. So if you want a really cost-effective MIS program, if that is your idea, then I would pick the University of Buffalo. But if you want the best program, irrespective, it would be Arizona State. I think that's a better MIS program. Personal choice, I'd pick Arizona State, but the rest is up to you. All right, it's clear that Duke has made their MEM admission stringent this time, looking at the mass rejects. Any idea why they have made this change this time? All right, thanks for that. I wouldn't say mass rejects. They have rejected a lot more people than they did in the last year. And that is because the quality of the class was a big issue at Duke, from what I hear from the students. Even for us, in the last intake, which was fall 2022, we had 49 students who made it to the Duke MEM. This year, it's closer to 30, I believe. See, last year there was a big complaint, and there were a couple of students who went to the Duke program and came back because the class wasn't diverse. It was 80-85% Indian, from what I hear. And there was because of the sheer number of people they admitted, there was no enrollment open for a variety of courses for students of their choice. And that's kind of annoying when you're spending so much on a master's, right? Duke is expensive. So they want to make the class smaller. They want to make the class more diverse, which would automatically mean, fewer Indian students. And they also want to be more selective so that their students have better opportunities at taking courses and getting, their choice of subjects, and also a variety of job opportunities. That's why they've cut down. Honestly, this was the norm in years before. Last year was an anomaly where they took in 250 students, close to it. This year was usually a normal year. I wouldn't say this year was different. Last year was an anomaly. If you had to look at it that way. That's the reason why Duke has done this. But of course, there is so much up for debate there, but this is my take, at least from what I've heard. It's a personal opinion and interpretation. All right. Postgraduate program in data science and artificial intelligence at Geo Institute in Navi Mumbai. I can't say that this is an area of my expertise, so I don't want to give an unqualified opinion. I don't know enough about this program to give you a reliable opinion. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but again, this is not a program I have too much feedback about. Does home edition GRE and TOEFL be a problem? Is the home edition GRE and TOEFL a problem for tier 1 universities? Look, as of now, no. I don't know what is going to happen in the future, because certain universities have stopped taking the home GREs, because I'm sure you'd know that the racket that's going with the at-home GRE test. In fact, I've done many articles, many YouTube videos on it, which you can check out on our channel. So even universities are getting wise about it, and maybe something in the future might change. But as we stand today, there is no distinction between the home GRE and the test center GRE. But honestly, in the current circumstances, just take it in the test center. I don't think there are too many restrictions as they were during COVID. Now I think the situation is pretty much how it was pre-COVID. So just do it in the test center if you want to do a foolproof, a genuine attempt, to be honest. What are the downsides of George Washington since you said Indiana? Again, when I'm doing comparisons, it's not like one is bad and one is good. It's comparison between two good schools. So when you have the choice between good and very good, you'd pick very good, right? George Washington is not very renowned as a very good engineering school in general. It is decent, but again, it's more known for its liberal arts courses. Indiana, which is both the Kelly School of Business and its engineering school are well renowned. So it's just a better hiring ecosystem. So that's why you'd pick Indiana, because it's a safe bet. That's what most people pick, and it has reliably led to great job opportunities in the past. Not that George Washington is bad and you won't get a job, but when you have the choice, Indiana is better in terms of reputation of the program, in terms of the quality of the engineering school, in terms of the kind of jobs people are getting, in and out. So overall, it's better. Not that George Washington is bad. All right, next question coming in. I want to shift from core engineering to product management or consulting. I'm planning for MEM in USA. Is it a good decision? How is Northwestern for MEM? How does MEM help land jobs in the USA? That is very smart. You've packed in like 4 questions in one comment. Very efficient, but I'll go through them quickly. Again, I can't go in too much detail because it's not fair for the others on the on this live stream who may not be interested. But if I'm not answering all your questions, you can always schedule a free consultation on the website www.gradvine.com or give us a call on that number. Of course, scheduling a call is far more convenient because you will get a call for sure at the scheduled time. So MEM is best for product management. It makes a lot of sense. Product managers are also in demand at this point in time. Of course, there's a slight break because of the recession, but that will go back up, no problem. MEM is your best choice for a product management. It is much cheaper than an MBA, and your starting salaries are not very different for the same level of work experience, right? So it is a very good decision. Makes a lot of sense. The ideal way to shift from engineering to product management. Northwestern for MEM is a good program. It is a top 10, but I wouldn't say it's among the elite top 5, 6. I'd say, everything right from Stanford to maybe a Johns Hopkins is better than a Northwestern for an MEM. Does MEM help land jobs in the USA? If you go to a good university, yes. There are at least 35 universities, 40 universities that offer MEM, but honestly, there are only 15 to 16 that are worth going to. So if you land up in one of them, then you'll get a job. Otherwise, it's a little bit of a struggle. It's not like computer science where you go to any top 60, top 70, you'll be fine. If you want to know whether you're good enough to make it to these, if you want to get a great shortlist, you can sign up with us at Gradvine. Our track record with the MEM, as you'd see, is absolutely unmatched. We already have over 120 admits to the top 5 MEM programs just through Gradvine, which is quite insane when you come to think of it. Asking for a friend, bioengineering in UCSD versus Columbia versus CMU versus GHU. Why don't you ask your friend to join this live stream? And your friend is incredibly smart. How do you pick between these? I don't know. UCSD, Columbia, CMU, GHU, all are fantastic. I would maybe, with a very heavy heart, eliminate Columbia because it is so expensive. Not that CMU and GHU are cheap, but Columbia is going to be expensive in terms of living as well. Bioengineering at GHU is probably one of the best programs in the world. But if you want more of a data angle to it, then Carnegie Mellon is better. UCSD is not far behind either because it might work out cheaper than CMU and GHU. So I do not have an answer to this. It comes down to personal preference. I would maybe, the debate would probably be between, Carnegie Mellon and GHU. Between those two, toss a coin. I'm sorry, I can't give you a greater insight, but these are all fantastic programs, and congratulations to your friend. This is, brilliant to hear and see. How do we convince a visa officer in case of a retired parent being the sponsor? Don't worry about that too much. The first priority for visa officers in their mind is the university that you get into. So if you get into a decent enough university, and you can tell me which one it is if you're okay doing that, that becomes 70-80% of the job done. Secondarily, if your retired parent is a sponsor, they are going to look at your savings. So if you have enough in the bank, then they're not going to ask too many other questions. Of course, if you are taking a loan, or your parent is taking a loan on his name or whatever, the loan document will suffice. I don't think a parent being retired is too much of an issue, because when you are to 21 to 25, 26, when people usually go for a master's. A lot of times our parents are retired, so that is not a negative. As long as your finances are clean and you're going to a good university, you should be fine. What are your views on Purdue's MEM program? It is brilliant, a great program, as long as you want to get into operations management, supply chain management, those sort of areas, or if you are from the non-circuit branches of engineering, say a mechanical engineering, production engineering, chemical engineering, then it's great to take you into the manufacturing or supply chain or logistics, those kind of areas. If you're looking at more, circuit branches, more software related product management, it's not the friendliest. Now I know people who've gone to Purdue and cracked product management roles as well, but the curriculum doesn't lend itself to that too much. But I would still say it's a fantastic program. You can make certain compromises and choose to go for it, with the curriculum also, purely because it's significantly cheaper than other programs that are at its level, right? It's much cheaper than Duke. It's much cheaper than Johns Hopkins. It's much cheaper than Cornell. And for somebody looking at operations supply chain, I'd say Purdue is, at the same level. So it's an outstanding program. If you get in, you should be happy going. But again, if you are very, very certain about software product management, you don't like the curriculum, don't compromise, because that's the program is going to take you towards the career path for the rest of your life. So think about it this way. All right, which is a global university offering a best online digital marketing course at a nominal fees for a middle class Indian? That's a very complicated question. There's so many ifs, buts, and maybes in there. To be honest, if you're doing an online digital marketing course, don't do it at a university because they charge you a bomb. And anything online, wherever it's from, recruiters really don't care that much at this point in time. You might as well just take it from an online platform that is offering it, like an upgrade or whatever, which is going to work out significantly cheaper. But that again is my personal opinion in my limited experience as a recruiter. I'm not giving you this opinion in terms of a counselor, because we haven't counseled too many people who've done online courses, because our counseling is based on immigration, return on investment, hiring scenarios there. If it's online, it's probably going to be where you're staying put. So therefore, why spend so much on a brand name university online course? Because online is online, at least in terms of what recruiters look at. So I'm sorry, I don't have a definitive answer to that. How is MSBA at USC? Is it worth the ROI? Absolutely. Again, like I said, USC is expensive, but it is expensive for good reason, because the people who go there also earn very well. So it's definitely worth the ROI. It's a great pick. It's a fantastic program. Texas A&M MIS versus UTD MSITM. Thank you for an easy question again. Texas A&M is an elite school. It's far better than UT Dallas. It's a far better MIS program. It is also very, again, cheap is subjective, but significantly cheaper. So I would, eyes closed, Texas A&M MIS, and congratulations. It's a great admit you have in it. Is GRE 321 safe enough for top MEM programs like Dartmouth? I'm sure a lot of people, listening into this Q&A session will have a smile on their face when Dartmouth comes up, because look, Dartmouth admits a variety of different profiles. I've had people with a 310 get in. I've had people with a 330 get rejected. So it really depends on the rest of your profile. Even for you guys who are applying in the future, and those of you who've already applied, you will have realized that the GRE is not the most important part of your application. It is your GPA, it is your work experience or projects or your internships, right? So a 321 GRE is great. If you have a 321, you aren't going to get rejected from Dartmouth because of the GRE. You might get rejected from other because of other aspects of your profile. But a 321 is a great school, great score. Anything above 315, honestly, in my opinion, is a great score for MEM programs. So it is a good score, but it really depends on the rest of your profile. And Dartmouth is incredibly selective. It has an acceptance rate for that program which is around 1%, which is again insane. All right, I got admits from Cornell, Duke, and Purdue MEM. Which one to choose during this recession period? This person is anonymous. Also, a very very tough question that you've asked me here. But I've been getting a lot of these, right? So, see, first of all, Purdue MEM I've already answered. If you do not get into industrial engineering, operations, supply chain, then the Purdue MEM I would not recommend, even though it's so much cheaper. But if you're okay getting into that, among the three, I would definitely pick the Purdue MEM with the co-op program or the professional track, right? Because it's a 2-year program. Second year you're working. Even if the effects of the recession continue for longer period than we anticipate, you should be still safe because you're going to be in university, right? So if you are okay with operations, supply chain, or any of the non-circuit branch related stuff, management related only, of course, then you Purdue MEM would be my choice blindly, right? Among the other two, between Cornell and Duke, um, again, very, very difficult choice. To be honest, by the time you graduate from the Cornell MEM, which is going to be maybe a year and 3 months from now, year and 2 months from now, the hiring scenario will change. The current recession should not have an effect until then, because it's very, very rare, for that to happen, because this, downturn has been, happening for a while now. So there might be, different hiring boom. But among the three, maybe the Duke MEM, if you feel that your job search or your work experience is not strong enough for you to sail into a job, Duke MEM might be a safer pick, because you can do it in 3 semesters purely because of the length. But again, personal opinion, if I was in your place, I would take the risk and go to Cornell, because it's a far more selective class, and a selective class is something that you would want, um, um, you know uh, when you are spending so much, right? It just makes a massive difference. All right, moving on then. A ton of questions. Again, if I can't answer your question, you can schedule a free consultation call on gradvine.com, and or call us on the number that's scrolling by. Again, the number, obviously don't call it 12 in the night. We are human beings too. It's better to schedule a conversation. All right, you wash MSIM versus CMU MSIM. Is the CMU brand really that good? Tough question, but I'll tell you practically, right? If just common sense wise, if you're looking at return on investment, I would pick UWash any day of the week, because the starting salaries, the job opportunities are exactly the same. So for you spending significantly lesser, you're going to be earning the same, right? So my pick personally would be the UWash MSIM. But some students, the brand and the network, and having the brand for the rest of their life matters a lot. And brand is something you cannot quantify. I wish I could, but you cannot, because I'm saying the starting salaries after both programs are going to be very similar, right? It really depends on your profile. So purely practically, I would pick the UWash, MSIM. But is the CMU brand really that good? It is good. It is very, very good. But pure common sense wise, I'd pick the UWash MSIM. If you have admits to both, congratulations. Fantastic job. You have two of the top 3 MIS programs in the world in your bag. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate for doing this. Appreciate you for doing this Q&A. Really helpful. Our pleasure. Again, at Gradvine, stay tuned and tell your friends to stay tuned to our LinkedIn pages, to our YouTube, because here we are not a consultancy. We don't have tie-ups with any university. We don't do any mumbo jumbo, magic while giving you information. It is all practical, common sense based information based on feedback that we are getting from our mentors and students on the ground. We put over 700 students into the top universities every year. So we do it at volume and at quality, which nobody else does, right? So all the information coming there is on-ground information without any bias. Whether you go to Carnegie Mellon, whether you go to UWash, whether you go to Dartmouth, I don't get anything from the university. So all our intention is to give you the best, most qualified information, and that's the reason why we started Gradvine. So it's our pleasure, and always stay tuned to our channels. All of you with admits, come back on board with us as mentors. We'd love to have you as part of the community, giving this information. All right, I have another question. I have already booked a free consultation call. They said we can't guarantee the admission. I can't guarantee admission. I'm being very open to it. If you're applying to the good schools, nobody can guarantee admissions. The only people that guarantee admissions are the ones that are going to push you to an inferior university or college, so that they get a massive, commission from them. So, even if I want to tie up, there are, 30 pointless universities that send us emails every day to tie up, and then I can guarantee admission. I will charge you 5,000 rupees and I'll take 5 lakhs from them. But that's not the nature of business we are in. Just be wiser while picking, advisors and consultants, guys. All right. MS in CS at UNCC or data analytics and engineering at NEU? Tough pick. I would always pick a CS program, slightly more reliable in terms of jobs, and I think that will work out cheaper for you as well. Again, NEU is a great school, no problem, but a CS program at a cheaper school is more practical in terms of ROI. Northwestern MEM versus JHU MEM with 2 years of work ex. I would pick JHU any day of the week. It's a much better career services. They have the immersion program, which at a nominal fee you're allowed to intern abroad, and that adds tremendous value to your resume. No other MEM programs offers that. And the starting salaries, as you would have seen if you've attended our past webinars with JHU, which collaborates with us regularly, the starting salaries are insane. Again, this is an unbiased opinion. Whether you go to JHU or you go to Northwestern, I don't get anything from either of them. But from what I've seen in terms of career trajectories, JHU is the better choice by far and away. Considering the recession and Silicon Valley Bank collapse, is it good to consider going for fall 2023 for MSCS? I don't think it will be an issue if you're going to a decent enough university. Even people who are graduating into the market now, which is perhaps at the worst time, considering the recession, they are still able to secure jobs. Of course, it's a little more difficult than always. But if you are going for a program that's longer than a year, 18 months, 2 years, you have plenty of time, and the current market situations will not continue until then. Most likely, right? It hasn't happened in the past. Even in the 2008 recession, which is perhaps the worst recession people in our lifetimes and maybe I'd say even our parents' lifetimes have seen. Starting the end of 2009, start of 2010, hiring was back with a vengeance. So I wouldn't worry. I would still go. USC MSBA versus MSIM at Carnegie Mellon. I would pick the MSIM at Carnegie Mellon. I think the MSIM at Carnegie Mellon is one of the top 3 programs in the world for an MS, for an MIS, along with Berkeley and UWash. Outstanding program. I'd pick Carnegie Mellon. Great course. Syracuse MIS or Masters in Information Technology from the University of Melbourne. I would always pick the US as a better, destination for information systems or tech. Australia has never been a great hiring destination. For all of you who are, wondering, why am I still, recommending the US? Despite the recession, you'll have to understand that the US, even if it in its worst economic conditions, has far more job opportunities than any other country in the world, bar India and China. India, you don't want to stay back right now because you want to apply abroad, and China won't let you in. So the US is your best bet in terms of job opportunities, at least. And understand if the situation gets bad in the US, it's only going to get worse in the rest of the world, right? So don't worry about it. The situation is not as bad as people are making out to be. I would still recommend the Syracuse MIS purely because of its location in the US. Is a GRE 325 plus a competitive score for Duke, Darden, Tuck, and Cornell MBA? Thank you for that question. The average scores of all the MBA candidates who've gotten in through us to these schools has been around a 327 to 329. I've had, couple of candidates get in with a 320 on the dot as well. So if you get a 325 plus and the rest of your profile is good, I would apply with some confidence to these, programs. Of course, your application strategy matters a lot. Understand that both Darden and Duke have, what is known as binding, deadlines, which means that if you apply early enough and you commit to them that if you get an admit, you'll join them, and withdraw your applications from other places, it increases your chances of getting in a lot better, right? So 325 plus works, but the right application strategy and essays and getting your profile evaluated is incredibly important. So please do reach out to us. We put a ton of people into these MBA programs, as well in the past. So we'd be happy to do that. But yeah, 325 plus should do the job, to answer your question. USC versus UMass Amherst for MSCS. I would pick UMass Amherst just because it works out cheaper. Again, 2 fantastic schools. Can't go wrong with either. But yeah, my pick would be UMass Amherst because it's more cost effective. IUB, which is Indiana Bloomington, I'm assuming MSDS versus FSU, which I'm assuming is Florida State University MS and CS. IUB, I think it's a better school. Overall, totally different level as compared to a Florida State, if that's what you mean by FSU. So my pick would be Indiana Bloomington. All right, best MEM programs that are also offered in spring. Unfortunately, the earlier, right, like last couple years back, Duke used to offer a spring intake, Cornell used to offer a spring intake, Purdue still offers a spring intake, but they've been reducing greatly. I'm assuming that some of the good programs that will definitely offer a spring intake this time would be Purdue. I don't know if Duke is going to change its mind, but we'll have to see. But maybe not, because they're already being selective this year. Northeastern offers a spring intake. There is one program which not too many people are aware of, which is brilliant. That is only spring, which is Carnegie Mellon's Master of Science in Product Management. And there is also Carnegie Mellon's Engineering and Technology Innovation Management, even though I recommend the Product Management program over this because it's a slightly more wholesome degree. So these are a few. Again, things change. Maybe one, two others will decide to offer a spring admit. But MEM for spring, there's not as many options, not nearly as many options as the fall. That's just how MEM programs are. All right, UCSD is expensive and not within my finances. What would be the ideal choice between UMass Amherst and NEU? If I choose to go to UMass, am I settling for very less? I understand that UCSD is expensive, but understand also that UCSD is an elite school. Look, it's not like if you go to UMass, you will not get a job or anything of the sort. You'll 100% get a job. You'll 100% earn well. But UCSD is an elite school. If you're willing to let go of that, eliteness in terms of the master's degree, it is fine. You are not compromising even if you go to UMass Amherst. It's a terrific school. Between UMass Amherst and NEU, I would pick UMass Amherst, for sure. It's a great program. Is it a problem to go for visa interview in April for fall 23? Shouldn't be a problem. I believe that they've increased the number of days, the gap between the start date and when you can get a visa interview. However, doing it in April is, maybe a little too early. You'll have time even if you do it in May. In fact, you'll have time even if you do it in June. So it shouldn't be a problem. Don't worry about slots. They will open up for students. It shouldn't be a problem, but why do you want to do it so early? I don't get it. All right, should I do an MTech from IIT or MS from NCSU, SGSU, UTD in computer science? Very subjective question. People do a master's to immigrate, right? If you do an MTech from IIT, you're not going to immigrate. You're probably going to do, the same kind of jobs in India. Your starting salary is not going to increase too much. But of course, staying in India has its own appeal. And, the way, our country is going right now, no reason why you shouldn't stay in India. But obviously, if you want to go abroad, if you want to earn significantly more, if you want to buy a car and build a house a lot earlier than you would typically in India, then immigration becomes a question. So I can't give a one size fits all answer to you. It depends on what you want from your life, which is a much deeper discussion. So do schedule a free consultation with us. Maybe we'll be able to clear your confusion. And of course, on those consultations, we do recommend our services, we sell our services, but our first priority is to clear your confusion. So be sure to schedule that consultation, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Is NCSU MEM good for TPM role? By TPM, do you mean technical product manager or technical project manager? NCSU is good for project management. May not be the best for product, but I've seen NCSU guys move into product management as well. Overall, it's a very good program. For project management, it's great. How do you rate NYU MOT? Is it worth being expensive? Yeah, NYU is expensive, but it depends on what other admits you have in hand. If you have only NYU, I would go because the return on investment is fantastic because of its location. But if you have other admits in hand, that's the debate, right? But if you have only NYU, I would just go. It's great. All right. Which one of these should I pick for the MEM? Cornell, Duke with scholarship, JHU with scholarship, Dartmouth waitlisted, CMU, MISM, fantastic list of admits. Again, very tough question, my friend. And Amirul, I think you're enrolled with us, so congratulations. Very tough, very tough. Among these, right, if you want the safest in terms of return on investment, I would still say the CMU. Dartmouth is the best pick overall if you get in, but I don't know if the Dartmouth waitlist is going to convert because, I know of 9 or 10 people from Gradvine who've gotten in who are going to say yes to the offer. I know 4 or 5 who reached out to me on LinkedIn that have said that are going to say yes to the offer. So I don't think anybody really is saying no, and that's probably all the Indians that have gotten in, maybe 2, 3 I don't know of, but very unlikely they'll say no. So moving up the waitlist there may not be likely. Sorry for being negative, but this is what I've seen in past years. Among what you have in hand, if you're okay with the curriculum, I would pick the CMU, MSIM, because it opens up technical roles as well. If you've gotten into the regular program, which is the 16-month, then it's a great bet. Otherwise, if you're in the accelerated program, I'd be a little concerned. Among the others, very tough choice, my friend. It really depends on how confident you are about the job search. If you are confident in your own abilities to network, the market will support you. The Cornell MEM is your best bet among the MEM programs. But purely objectively, I would pick the CMU MSIM. It's again, like I said, a top 2 or 3 MIS program. Very hard to argue against it. Everyone talks about NAU Boston. How is NAU Seattle and San Francisco for an MS and CS? Pretty good, because Seattle and San Francisco are also fantastic locations. I would even say maybe slightly better than Boston. Boston's the main campus, slightly more selective class. But if you're talking about CS, location plays a role once you go outside the top 25-ish schools. So Seattle and San Francisco are fantastic as well. TAMU and NYU have not yet released admits. When can we expect them? They have released admits. Depends on what program you're looking at, but they've started releasing admits. But they are known to release admits in lots, right? They release a few, then they wait, then they release a few, then they wait. I'm assuming by the month end you should hear something, or latest by the middle of April. Your views on the Business Analytics and Information Systems program from the University of South Florida. Decent, not elite. It's all right. I don't rate it very highly, but I mean, you should still be able to secure a decent enough job after you go there. When to start focusing on writing research papers for MS and CS? Currently doing BTech in ECE. Usually research papers, your first year, unless you're really brilliant, you haven't a clue what you're doing in engineering, to be honest. So maybe, after 2-1, 2-2, when you actually get into your subjects at the start of third year, you can think about it. But genuine piece of advice from my end, my friend, if you are looking to shift from ECE to CS, don't do it, because it's always a messy path. Because if you don't have database management systems, data structures and algorithms, object-oriented programming, and operating systems, shifting from ECE to CS becomes very hard, because these 4 prerequisites are a necessity, and you'll have a lot of CS to CS guys applying, and beating them is going to be difficult. If you want to shift to CS, do one thing. Without work experience, apply to computer engineering. You'll get enough or more electives in CS related fields to crack a role. Or if you're willing to wait for some time, get 1 or 2 years of work experience and apply to software engineering or MIS programs, which take you to very similar roles. If you wish, don't do an ECE to a CS directly. You'll typically 9 out of 10 times compromise on the university that you end up at. Best program for TPM roles. Once again, my friend, can you write full forms? I don't know if it's product management or project management. I would be happy to answer if you do that. All right, another question coming in. I got an admit from USC, NYU, Purdue, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Northeastern, Columbia, MS in Civil Engineering, and I finalized Columbia for my graduate decision. So do you think it's a great decision? I'll be honest with you, among Purdue, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, and Columbia, there is no wrong decision. They're all fantastic. If I were in your position, I would pick Georgia Tech, because it's the same level of program, but at a significantly cheaper cost. But I'm not going to go ahead and say that Columbia is a bad choice. It is expensive, but you should make back all that money and more. But if I was in your place, I'd pick Georgia Tech, because it's an elite program. I'm assuming GTech is Georgia Tech, but it's an elite program for a fraction of the cost. But Columbia is not a bad decision. You really can't go wrong. How is the MBA program at UC Boulder? Not the best. There are better MBA programs. Again, we have to make sure the MBA is STEM designated at the university you're applying to. Boulder does not have the best of business schools. I wouldn't rate it among the top 30-ish. I'm going to University of Buffalo for MIS. How much personal funds do you think will suffice? At the top of my head, I do not know the exact tuition fee, but what has to happen is you need to be able to cover the I-20 amount, either through a loan or through your personal funds. So whatever amount is being reflected in the I-20, if you can cover that, maybe just to be safe, if you can show 10 to 20% more, you will be safe if you're doing it with personal funds. Or if you have the loan that is covering that amount, it will be fine. You can also do a combination of your loan and personal funds to show that you're going to be able to cover that amount. All right, I have admits from Duke, Cornell, and USC. Now I'm confused due to Cornell's high tuition fees for 3 semesters. I have 1 year of work experience in analytics. Would Cornell be worth the money? I wouldn't do Cornell for 3 semesters. You're just paying Look, think about it. Very common sense answer I'm going to give you, right? And for the rest of you also, this could be, sort of useful in terms of the way you think about the job search. Don't do the 3 years at Cornell, because there's no point paying 1.5 times for the same degree, right? And for the same starting salary. First, don't think about that. Even though few people are doing it, it doesn't make sense. Second thing is, say you don't. First of all, in the US, the way the job search works is, right, majority of the people, despite whatever situation, are able to secure a job before they graduate itself. Most Cornell guys do that too. If you don't get a job while you're there, you'll have 90 days period after you graduate for you to stay back and look for a job. Now, in theory, if you don't get the job in 90 days, you have to leave. Your OPT will not be activated. That's what they say. But majority of the people, what they do is they take up a job on campus with a professor, whatever it is, probably without pay, in order to activate that OPT. So they stay back and then they continue their job search, and then they get a job, and then after that it's life as usual, right? So I've not really known anybody who's even gone to a very ordinary university in the US actually come back without utilizing that OPT period, right? So you might as well do that. And maybe this is a slightly I wouldn't say crooked, but not the most honest way of doing it. But instead of spending so much for an additional semester, you might as well use this. And if you go to Cornell, you probably will get a job. So my pick would still be Cornell. I think you should still be able to crack a job because of the better class size. It is definitely a good pick. Considering what happened last year at Duke, and the stories I've heard from students, it's very difficult for me to recommend Duke, even though last year I recommended Duke over Cornell because of the longer length. But don't do 3 semesters in Cornell, and I would go for Cornell. JHU MEM versus Purdue MEM. Tough choice. Pound for pound, money for money, I would pick Purdue because you're going to get the same starting salaries at a fraction of the cost. JHU is very expensive. I'm this year, I think the I-20 amount is $92,000 or $91,000, which is massive, right? Purdue is going to be significantly cheaper. But again, if you want to get into operation supply chain, like I've harped upon it earlier, then you should go to Purdue. But if you really want circuit branch related, software related, or product management, JHU has to be the better pick. But again, if cost is a major factor, Purdue is a no-brainer. Purdue MEM versus Purdue Business Analytics, which I'm assuming is the BAIM for Product Gateway, or I'm assuming product management jobs. I saw more for programs from the latter program getting into product. This is true. Purdue BAIM overall is a greater program if you have a bent towards the software sector and product roles there. I would recommend that. What is the minimum GPA and number of research papers required for an admit in a top 10 US university for MS and CS? Ad hoc question, very difficult to put a range to it, but the lowest GPA I've seen get into a top 10 is about an 8.5. The tier of the university you come from, or the reputation of the undergrad institute you come from, also is very, very important. But I've not seen too many people with a GPA below an 8.5 crack it. Of course, I've had a candidate from IIT Delhi with a 7.8, make it to Georgia Tech, which one would firmly put in the top 10. Number of research papers doesn't matter. The Scopus index or the impact factor of those research papers matter more, and where they're published matter more. Second thing is, if you want to get into the industry or get a job after your master's, apply for the non-thesis track master's, which is the M Engineering and CS, or an MCS, which gives you the same job opportunities, which is easier to get into. If that's the case, the amount of research becomes less important. The number of internships that you do or your technical projects become more important. Research papers contribute to both, but don't focus on the number. Make sure the quality is on point. Once again, if you want to shift from an ECE to a CS, the top 10 universities become a challenge. I've seen this happen in the past. In fact, I did a video with Mr. Mayank Vanani, which is on our YouTube, who did that shift from ECE to CS at Georgia Tech. And he tells you what is important, so that you'll get a much more qualified answer if you view that video. So do check it out on our YouTube. USC versus UMass Amherst for MSCS. I think I've answered this already. UMass Amherst because it is more reasonable in terms of tuition, very similar starting salaries. Planning to do an MS in business analytics. I'm having 12 years of experience in banking. Could you please suggest me universities? I cannot suggest you universities ad hoc. The best universities that offer a business analytics and work experience is important for business analytics would be the likes of Columbia, would be the likes of Carnegie Mellon has an MISM, Business Intelligence and Data Analytics, probably one of the best programs out there. UCSD is fantastic. UCLA is great. So there are very good universities where you can get into. Depends on the kind of work experience or current position in the industry. And even though it was a very long time ago, from what I see, a GPA also plays a role. So please do schedule that free consultation with us on gradvine.com, and maybe you can get a more qualified suggestion, and then you can sign up for a shortlisting service, which is the best in the business, of course. How useful is ASU, MS, and CS in terms of job opportunities? It is great. You will not have a problem in terms of getting jobs if you go for an ASU, MS, and CS. It's a great program. USC MEM versus Northwestern MEM versus Purdue MEM. My pick would be Purdue MEM. I'm not going to go and repeat what I've said about the sectors where you get hiring. So I hope you were watching my live from earlier. Don't want to bore the other guys. But it is definitely the best bet in terms of return on investment, but not great if you want to go into software. Between USC MEM and Northwestern MEM, again, USC as a program also is more bent towards operations and industrial and supply chain. Because of the location, people break into product management, but it depends on your interests. My priority order would be Purdue MEM first, and maybe Northwestern MEM, and then the USC MEM. But again, depends on what roles you want to get into. Battle of starting salaries. I don't know if it's a battle, but let's call it a comparison. Dartmouth versus Cornell versus Northwestern versus Duke. From what I know, again, maybe it would be wrong here and there. Don't come back and tell me my friend who went there is earning more than another friend who went here. I'm talking to you about the medians and averages. Dartmouth tops, Cornell next, then Duke, then Northwestern. Usually, Northwestern people have said that the job search itself was a struggle. UIUC MSTM versus NEU MEM for someone with no full-time work experience interested in product. Pound for pound, the USC MSTM program is better than the NEU MEM. But in your case, I would pick the NEU MEM because if you don't have work experience, then that co-op will help you out. And UIUC also, the curriculum is a little too general management oriented, and it's a very short program. So very tough for me to recommend NEU MEM over UIUC because UIUC is probably the more elite program. But for your case specifically, NEU might make a lot of sense. Is LBS MIM for fall 2024 worth considering the current situation in the UK? My friend, the current situation in the UK has been the situation in the UK for the past 6 years, right? So it is not the current situation; it is the ever-present situation. Brexit started when I was getting my graduation at Dartmouth in 2016. Since then, it's been the same. Even before that, it's been the same. LBS MIM, great program, elite program, very good class, but UK is not a place you want to be for job opportunities. If you are an engineer, if you're looking for a management degree, please go to engineering management programs. Again, I send people to LBS for MIM, I send people to the top MEM programs. In fact, we charge more for MIM because there are more essays. But again, like I said, we give you unbiased, guidance. So I would pick any engineering management program in the US in terms of return on investment and jobs over the LBS MIM. Which MS programs still open for fall 23? Not too many good ones. Even if they are open, a lot of these classes, might be, full. So I would not, recommend you hurry up for a fall 23. I would recommend instead look at a spring 24 because you'll have a much better chance of getting it. MEM or MIM for being a product manager? I just answered that question. MEM always. MIM in theory could take you to product management, but MIM in the US, except for a few programs, not a lot of them are STEM, and MEM has a much better, hiring track record. MIM is more popular in Europe, and in Europe, except France, the other countries are not great in terms of job opportunities. Irrespective, no European country can match the US in terms of sheer job opportunities in the tech side. How is MSIS for UT Austin and UMich waiting for both? Both their average job salaries are lower. So look, they're great programs. Again, I would rate, they're not elite. I would rate the, Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon, UWash, higher than them. In fact, I would even put my neck out there and say Kelly is better. But they're very good, right? They're not bad, per se. You can't say UT Austin is, bad for anything. But if you get in there and don't get in anywhere else, you should be happy going. Best one for MS in data science in terms of ROI. I cannot give you a definitive answer because that's very ad hoc. The best universities have great ROI. Columbia and NYU, which are extremely difficult data science programs to get into, have brilliant ROI because they are always in demand. Northeastern has great ROI, and generally MS in data science has great ROI. It really depends on your profile and what your budget is, right? So cannot give you an ad hoc answer in terms of ROI because data science, first of all, the number of programs are low. That really elite universities, unfortunately, are either Ivy Leagues or private, which makes it very, very expensive. Is having an engineering background necessary for doing MS in product management? I would say so. So the way the US universities call it, right? They don't say engineering. They say that it's necessary that you come from a STEM background, and which is science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. Again, the technology and engineering is what they focus on. So it is better if you come from if you come from an engineering background. However, I would recommend, right now, if you're considering for a master's, please start communicating with the universities. Write to them and ask them if you will be eligible. If it's a no, it's a no. It saves you money. You don't go ahead and apply. If it's a yes, then the university itself is saying they'll accept you, which is straightforward. So I don't think it is possible if you're a non-STEM major. But if you want to ask, the best way is to ask the university, and they will give you a definitive reply very soon. How is Santa Clara University? It's very good. Expensive, but very good. NCSU MEM versus NEU MEM for software product management. I mean, look, most product management is software only nowadays. Very rare for hardware related product management unless you're managing a Coke bottle or something. But tough choice. I would still pick NCSU because it's a slightly better program than the NEU. NEU is always a massive class. NCSU might work out cheaper as well. You can't go wrong with either, but my personal pick would be NCSU, even though the curriculum is not very friendly, to be honest. NYU MOT versus NCSU MEM versus TAMU MEM versus UIUC. Irrespective of curriculum roles, I'm leaning towards TAMU MEM, but would like your opinion. It's hard to give an answer, irrespective of curriculum or roles, but I would pick the TAMU MEM as well, purely because of how much cheaper it works out, and it's an elite school, no doubt, but very, very oriented towards industrial and operations. If you're okay with that, it's a brilliant school to go to. So congratulations on that. CMU MISM versus Duke MEM for PM roles. This is a tough choice. Look, CMU's MSIM, most of the graduates there use it for a transition to core coding roles, and you'll find that the curriculum is also very technical. But I know a lot of people from CMU cracked PM roles, and you should be able to. Between the two, I would pick the CMU MISM program. It is elite. It is brilliant. UMass Amherst versus UMass Boston. UMass Amherst is the main campus. That is the central campus. That is the better school compared to the UMass Boston campus. UMich or USC for construction management. If you're talking about Ann Arbor, University of Michigan Ann Arbor, I would pick it any day over USC. It is an elite construction management program. Purdue MS Global Supply Chain Management versus Duke MEM for operations related role. I would pick Purdue. It's going to work out cheaper, and it's a great program for anything industrial and operations and supply chain related. Is it wise to apply to universities considering few universities have deadlines on May 1st? Understand that every single university with a May 1st deadline has already started rolling out admits. They're not going to wait till May 1st to roll out admits in middle of May or end of June, because it's impossible for people to get visas. It gets very, very difficult. So already they've been rolling out admits. People have already applied. So a large part of those classes are full. Apply and take a shot, but know that your chances of getting are lesser than, say, you applied in December or January. Give it a shot, try, but don't wait till May 1st. Try and finish it off by the end of the month. If you need help with that, you can always schedule your free consultation at using the link that's scrolling, or what my colleague Nilesh is putting up, or you can call us on 9000 081 All right, we are almost running to the end of this session. I've been speaking non-stop for an hour, and I'm sorry I could not cover all of these questions because of the sheer number. Once again, you can schedule a free consultation with us, and get your questions answered by my team at any point. Actually, you know what? I'll just extend by 10 more minutes if it helps you guys, because I don't know when I'll come live again. So, yeah, do schedule that call if you want more personalized answers, but I will continue for 10 more minutes, beyond that schedule. All right. University of South Florida course Business Analytics and Information Systems. I got admission. Whether we can get product roles, you can. If that's the only admit you have in hand, you can go. I think you'll be okay. Isn't MIS a better course of product management than MEM? I come from a computer engineering background with 4 years of work ex. I wouldn't say so. MIS, some programs are far more technically oriented. Like I was saying, MIS is used by a lot of people to move from non-CS programs to CS roles. So people become software engineers, SDEs, all of that through an MIS as well. Some MIS programs like the University of Washington, to an extent, Indiana Kelly, maybe to an extent UIUC, MSIM, they're more management oriented, so people break into product management. But for pure product management, some MEM programs are better than some MIS programs. It is not a black and white answer. So while we do the shortlist, and in fact, a lot of our students who've done very well with the results apply to a combination of MEM and MIS, and depending on where they get in, they go into that university with product management in mind. I can't say MEM is generally better because MEM from Purdue may not be the best, or MEM from TAMU may not be the best for product management. But say you get into Dartmouth MEM, it's definitely better than a CMU MIS if you want to get into product management. So there's a lot of back and forth gray areas here. There is no one size fits all answer. So getting the shortlist right is important. That's why we come into the picture, right? We do that your career outcomes in mind, with your profile in mind, and with your budget in mind, without any bias, without any types. Do you have services for UG programs, LOR, SOP? Yes, we do. We do a lot of UG admissions as well. Obviously, masters, the sheer number of people applying is higher, so you might think that we are more masters biased, but it's when say 100 people in theory go for masters, maybe 10 people go for undergrad because of the cost. But we guide a lot of UG students as well. We don't do SAT coaching, but we help with the university shortlisting. We help with their common app. We help with the supplemental essays. We help with the recommendation letters. We help with interview prep. We help out with the application filling. All of that. So if you want more details on that, you can schedule a free consultation with us, and we'll tell you how we help out. And of course, undergrad, you'll have to understand, is a far more complicated and long drawn out process than masters, because apart from the common app, you'll have Apply Texas. You'll have a separate system for the California schools, and you'll have supplemental essays for every university you're applying to. So if you're applying to 15 schools, we're talking 35 essays. So you need to start early. We absolutely assist with that, and we've had fantastic results as always. How is Santa Clara University for MIS? It is good. It is great. Again, little expensive for what it offers, but you'll be fine because of the location. Will it be possible to get into consulting after MEM from GHU? How are the job prospects of consulting roles in the US after this recession? To be honest, MEM is not the best choice for consulting roles, because when you're getting into consulting, you'll be competing with MBAs who have more work experience than you. So that's where you typically lose out. From MEM, GHU, I've known a few candidates getting into consulting, but it is very, very rare. Recession or no recession, that is the situation from MEM to consulting. Consulting is one area but which MEM grads have traditionally, to an extent, struggled to get into. How much work X is required for MSPM from CMU? Last year, I had a person get in with 2 years of work X. I had a person get in with 8 years of work X. So it is, very, very varied. But some work X, which at least minimum 2 years, is what I would recommend for an MSPM from, CMU. Which one would you pick, MS and CS, from George Mason, Clemson, and Stevens? Tough choice. I'd probably pick Clemson, marginally better program, better engineering school, I would say. Is GRE required for fall 2024 masters? We do not know yet, but I would say yes. The GRE already last year, a lot of universities started to require it. Come fall 2024, a lot more will start to require it. So do give the GRE. Don't get intimidated by the GRE. Again, I've done a lot of videos on YouTube which tells you about how admissions committees perceive the GRE. So check that out. GRE is not like an entrance test, not the be all and end all of the application. but do give it, because if you don't have a GRE score in hand, you simply can't apply for universities that require it, even if the rest of your profile is a fit. So give it, try and get a decent score. Don't try and apply for a waiver in 24. That will reduce your options quite significantly. Is MBA possible with a 630 GMAT and 2 years of work experience in a family business? If you're looking at doing an MBA abroad, 2 years is too less. I would recommend, to be safe, have at least 4 years of work experience at the time of application. Bare minimum to have a shot, have 3 years. But if you're applying with 3 years, the 630 GMAT is not going to cut it. You need to have an X factor in the profile, and that would need a 700 plus on the GMAT. How is the UT Austin MEM for software product management? I hope you did not apply to the UT Austin MEM, because it's a weekend program. It is for people who are there, who are doing the program part-time or working during the week. So the UT Austin MEM should not be applied to as an international candidate. How is the UTD ITM for product management? Decent. Again, the program, like all MIS programs, you can get into product management, you can get into, core tech. You can get into it. Maybe not the most intuitive or the best choice among the MIS programs, but you can still, navigate it. India University, Purdue University versus Clemson for MS in mechanical engineering. I'm assuming ME is mechanical engineering. If you're talking about IUPUI, which is Indiana University, Purdue University, whatever, versus Clemson is the better school. IUPEI is not that great. Recently, many ASU, MS, and CS applicants who were rejected earlier got an admit. Is that a red flag with regards to the quality of the course? I wouldn't say so. It must have been some, mess up with regards to the quota or the strategy of the admissions committee. But ASU, MS, and CS has been reliably good, for a while. GHU MEM for Duke versus Duke MEM for product. Tough choice. Very, very tough choice. You can't go wrong with either. Marginally, I would maybe say Duke, because the curriculum is far more tuned towards product management, but GHU is also good because it's a much smaller class with higher starting salaries, and that immersion opportunity is fantastic. But if it's pure product management, it is very hard to argue against the Duke MEM. So I would pick the Duke MEM, but understand that it's a very large class, and you'll have to fight for the jobs. Does work experience matter for MS and CS thesis track? It helps. But it's not the most important thing. For MS and CS thesis track, your research experience, your academic related stuff matters more than your work experience. All right, the questions, are still, coming in, and I am sorry, but I think I'll have to, end this live session. I think what this tells me is that, I should do more live sessions so that I can cater to all your questions. I'm sorry, we've been busy with, other business stuff at Gradvine, so couldn't do too many interactive sessions. But stay tuned, stay logged into our LinkedIn page and our YouTube and stuff like that, because we do a lot of webinars. We do webinars with me. So if you like my information, join in. If you did not like my information, I will do it with, other guest speakers as well. So you will no doubt get the most reliable information for free here, as opposed to, paid service anywhere else. That's just because of the quality of the information that we bring in, our experience, and the kind of people that we bring in to deliver this information for you, right? So stay in touch with us. We do a whole host of webinars. Even if you look at our YouTube, we have a playlist that covers everything you need to know about master's applications, and also everything you need to know about the post-admit process, which are two areas which, most of you guys would be concerned about at this point in time. So check out those two video series. We are uploading very regularly. You'll get a lot of information there. You can follow us for, all of our, webinars, informative sessions, and you can interact with us and our mentors, throughout the year. And all of these webinars and live sessions are all free. Right. You can also schedule, a free consultation call with us to have your doubts cleared. But we have paid services for university shortlisting, for help with statements of purpose, recommendation letters, with our resumes, all of that, right? And our track record and the consistency and the volumes in which we put people into the top programs is absolutely unmatched in the industry. And I would strongly recommend you do your own comparison, while comparing our results and, after a free consultation with every other service out there. My only request is, whether you do the process on your own, whether you do it with us. Please don't fall prey to other consultants who have tie-ups with universities who will say that I will do your process for free, or I will do your process for 5,000 rupees, and I will guarantee you an admit. They will push you to universities that are well below your profile for sure, right? There are no guarantees with the admissions process to top tier schools, but if you want to come close to a guarantee, then we are probably your best bet because of the regularity with which we've done it. It is common sense. It's a fixed formula. There's a right way to do it. There's a right way to organize your documents. There's a right way to shortlist, and all of that only comes when the right people are guiding you. So do consider signing up for one of our services. Do follow our webinars. Stay in touch with Gradvine. Whether you sign up with us or no, it is guaranteed that we will be your strongest and most reliable companions throughout the application process. So thank you so much for a wonderful live session, and all the questions and the great turnout. Really is encouraging, and I should keep coming live on LinkedIn and YouTube more often. Until I see you next time, thank you so much. And reach out to me on Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, if you want to stay in touch. Otherwise, our team is always available for you through that free consultation call. Please don't call us on the number that is scrolling at 12 o'clock and then shout at us later for not picking up. Scheduling the call is a far more reliable way to go about it. But it was a pleasure interacting with you guys. Thank you for all the wonderful questions, and I will see you guys around.